You know, they say courage is like a tea bag. You never know how strong it is until you put it in hot water. But remember, it's all about not becoming a soggy mess. Now, I'm not suggesting you dunk yourself into a steaming pot of Earl Grey. I'm just saying life has a habit of turning up the heat, and when it does, that's when your inner strength really gets to steep. It's like a surprise tea party with life, and you're the guest of honor. And let's be honest, no one likes to show up to a tea party unprepared, right? So let's get ready to steep ourselves in some hot water. Because whether you're a strong English breakfast type or more of a delicate chamomile, we're about to explore the concept of courage and how it can turn even the most lukewarm of us into a piping hot brew of resilience. So let's get ready to steep ourselves in some hot water and explore the concept of courage. Courage is not just about being a superhero and wearing a cape, it's about facing the fears and challenges in your daily life. Let's start by defining courage. The Oxford Dictionary frames it as the ability to do something that frightens one, bravery. But this definition only scratches the surface of what courage truly is. It's not just about jumping off a cliff or saving a cat from a tree, it's about the little battles we fight every day. Imagine the single parent working 2 jobs to make ends meet, never giving up despite the exhaustion. That's courage. Think about the student struggling with a subject but refusing to back down, studying late into the night. That's courage too. Or consider the individual battling mental health issues, getting out of bed each morning and facing the world. That, my friends, is also courage. Courage is the quiet voice at the end of the day that says, I will try again tomorrow. It's the determination to keep going, to keep fighting, regardless of the obstacles in your path. It's about standing up for what you believe in, even if it means standing alone. It's about speaking your truth, even when your voice shakes. It's about taking risks, stepping out of your comfort zone, and embracing the unknown. It's the firefighter running into a burning building, yes. But it's also the teenager standing up to a bully, the employee voicing an unpopular opinion, the entrepreneur taking a chance on a new venture, the patient facing a tough diagnosis. Courage takes many forms, and it's not always about heroic deeds. It's about facing everyday fears and challenges, no matter how big or small. It's about the resilience of the human spirit, the power of determination, and the strength of conviction. So next time you think you're not brave, remember this. Courage is not just about extraordinary acts. It's about the ordinary people facing extraordinary challenges every single day. So courage is all about facing your fears, no matter how big or small they might be. Ever wonder how courage can change your life? Well, buckle up because we are about to dive into its transformative power. Let's start with a simple story. Imagine a young woman named Lily. She's always dreamed of starting her own business, but the fear of failure has always stopped her. One day, she musters the courage to take that leap of faith. She faces challenges, sure, but she also uncovers a strength she never knew she had. She learns, she grows, and she becomes a successful entrepreneur. That's the power of courage. It's not just about overcoming fear, it's about unlocking potential. Now, let's shift gears slightly and talk about courage in the context of relationships. Picture a man named Tom. He's been friends with Sarah for years, but he's always harbored deeper feelings for her. The fear of damaging their friendship has kept him silent. Finally, he gathers the courage to express his feelings. Regardless of Sarah's response, Tom's act of bravery changes their relationship. It could lead to a romantic relationship, or it could lead to a deeper, more honest friendship. Either way, courage has expanded his emotional world. It's important to remember that courage isn't just about grand gestures or life-changing decisions. It can be as simple as trying a new food, learning a new skill, or standing up for what you believe in. Each time we choose courage over comfort, we push our boundaries, we grow, and we open ourselves up to new opportunities and experiences. In essence, courage acts like a catalyst for personal growth. It forces us out of our comfort zones and challenges us to face our fears. As we navigate these uncharted waters, we learn more about ourselves and our capabilities. We become stronger, more resilient, and more adaptable. We build confidence and self-esteem. And as we grow as individuals, we find that our lives become richer and more fulfilling. So courage doesn't just change your life, it expands it. Embrace courage and watch as your life unfolds in ways you never could have imagined. Scientists say that courage is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. But don't worry, no gym membership is required for this workout. So, what does science have to say about courage, you may wonder? Well, it turns out that our brains play a significant role in shaping our courageous actions. In the most basic sense, courage is the ability to act despite fear. Our brain's fear center, the amygdala, sends out signals when it perceives danger. But it's the prefrontal cortex, the decision-making part of our brain, that helps us weigh the risks and decide whether to act courageously or not. Research shows that the connection between the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex can be strengthened over time. Like a muscle, the more you use it, the stronger it gets. This means that the more often we choose to face our fears, the more capable we become at doing so. Courage can also be influenced by our hormones. The hormone oxytocin, often referred to as the love hormone, is released when we form social bonds and trust with others. Studies have found that oxytocin can actually encourage us to take social risks and act more courageously. Another interesting point to consider is that courage isn't just about facing physical dangers, it's also about emotional resilience. Psychological courage involves facing difficult emotions or challenging situations head-on, rather than avoiding them. It's about being open to the possibility of failure or rejection, yet choosing to act anyway. But here's the good news. Psychological courage can also be built over time. Research shows that by gradually exposing ourselves to the things we fear, we can reduce our anxiety and increase our courage. So, courage is not a fixed trait. It's not something you're either born with or without. It's a skill that can be developed and honed just like any other. So, courage is a muscle that you can train, and the best part is you can start right now. Let's dive into some real-life examples of courage. No, we're not talking about fighting dragons or saving the world. We're talking about everyday courage. Consider the single mother who works 2 jobs to provide for her children. Each day, she wakes up before the sun rises and doesn't rest until long after it sets. She's exhausted, yet she perseveres, driven by love and determination. That's courage. Or how about the young man from a small town who dreams of becoming an artist? He knows the road to success is fraught with challenges and uncertainties, but he packs up his paintbrushes and heads to the big city, daring to chase his dreams. His spirit embodies courage. Then there's the elderly woman who decides to learn how to use a smartphone. She could easily settle into the familiarity of her old ways, yet she chooses to navigate the digital world, overcoming her fear of technology. Her willingness to adapt and learn at any age is an act of courage. And let's not forget about the teenager who stands up against bullying in school. She could turn a blind eye, but instead, she takes a stand, risking her social standing for the sake of what's right. Her strength and bravery in the face of adversity are clear indicators of courage. Each of these individuals may not seem like superheroes, but in their own ways, they are. They're confronting their fears, pushing their boundaries, and stepping out of their comfort zones. They are not waiting for extraordinary circumstances to be brave. They're finding courage in their everyday lives. So courage isn't only about grand gestures or heroic deeds. It's about the small decisions we make every day, the challenges we face head-on, and the fears we overcome. It's about standing up when it's easier to stay seated and speaking out when it's simpler to stay silent. As you can see, courage can be found in the most ordinary places. Fear is like a giant wall. It can seem impossible to climb, but with a dose of courage, you can scale it and see what's on the other side. Fear, an emotion that can paralyze us, make us feel small, and convince us that we're unable to achieve our dreams. Yet, it's an emotion we all experience. It is a universal constant, a part of the human condition. But here's the twist. Fear isn't the enemy. It's not something we need to eradicate entirely. It's a signal, a warning, a whisper in our ear telling us to be cautious, to be aware. It's our body's way of preparing us for what's to come. Now let's introduce courage into the mix. Courage, in its essence, is the audacity to face fear head-on, to stare it in the eyes and say, "I see you, I acknowledge you, but you will not stop me." Courage is the spark that ignites the flame of action, the driving force that propels us forward, even when fear is tugging us back. Consider the story of the first woman to climb Mount Everest, Junko Tabei. She was faced with a literal mountain of fear, the height, the cold, the danger, the critics telling her it was impossible. But she didn't let that stop her. She packed her courage in her backpack along with her climbing gear, and she scaled that mountain one step at a time. Her courage didn't erase her fear. In fact, it's likely that her fear was present with every step she took. But her courage allowed her to move forward, to push through the fear, to reach new heights, both literally and metaphorically. So the next time fear rears its head, remember Junko Tabei. Remember that courage isn't about eliminating fear, but about pushing through it. It's about acknowledging the fear and then choosing to take the next step anyway. It's about scaling that wall despite the fear, because you know that what's on the other side is worth it. Remember, courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. Courage is powerful. It can transform your life in ways you can't even imagine. But don't just take my word for it, let's explore this together. Often we think of courage as a grand heroic act, but it's so much more than that. It's the quiet resolve in daily life, the choice to stand up for what's right even when it's hard, the decision to face our fears head on. It's all these little acts of bravery that, when strung together, make up a life of courage. Imagine, if you will, a young woman who, against all odds, decides to pursue her dream of becoming a scientist. She faces countless obstacles, naysayers who tell her it's impossible, institutions that refuse to admit her due to her gender, the constant struggle to prove herself in a field dominated by men. Yet she persists. She chooses to be courageous, to keep pushing forward despite the hurdles. This is the power of courage. Or consider the story of a man who, after years of battling addiction, decides to turn his life around. His journey isn't easy. It's filled with setbacks, heartbreaks, and moments of despair. But he doesn't give up. He chooses courage over fear, hope over despair. He fights every single day to stay clean, to rebuild his life piece by piece. This is courage in action. These stories aren't just tales of individual triumph. They're testaments to the transformative power of courage. It's this power that allows us to overcome adversity, to rise above our circumstances, to create a life that's meaningful and fulfilling. Courage can lead to significant changes and accomplishments in life. It can open doors to opportunities we never thought possible. It can help us grow, evolve, and become the best versions of ourselves. Courage, then, isn't just about facing our fears. It's about harnessing our inner strength, about believing in our potential, about daring to dream and to chase those dreams with unwavering determination. So courage is not just a virtue, it's a power that can change your life. So we've explored the concept of courage, its impact and its power. But what does all of this mean for you? At the heart of it, courage is about facing fear and choosing to act. It's about standing up when it's easier to sit down, speaking out when it's simpler to stay silent. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. And as we've seen, it's a muscle that can be strengthened with practice and dedication. We've delved into the profound impact of courage, how it can transform not only our lives, but those around us. From the inspiring stories of individuals who dared to break boundaries, to the scientific evidence that attests to the power of courage in overcoming adversity, we've seen how courage can truly expand our life's dimensions. Courage acts as a catalyst for personal growth, pushing us out of our comfort zones and into the unknown. It's the driving force behind innovation, discovery, and progress. Without courage, we remain stagnant, trapped within the confines of our fears. But the beauty of courage is that it's within all of us. We all have the capacity to be courageous, to face our fears head-on, and to make a difference. And it's not about grand gestures or heroic deeds. Sometimes, the most courageous act is getting up in the morning when life feels overwhelming, or standing up for what's right when it's unpopular. So, as you move forward, I encourage you to reflect on your own experiences with courage. Consider those moments when you were brave, however big or small they may seem. Use them as fuel, as reminders of your strength, and as inspiration to cultivate more courage in your life. Remember, life is a beautiful, complex puzzle, and courage is a vital piece. Embrace it, nurture it, and watch as the picture of your life becomes more vibrant, more fulfilling, and more expansive. Remember, life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage. So be brave, Be bold and watch your life expand beyond your wildest dreams.